when we're talking about the issue of exceptions, it's helpful to look at the way that the United States government deals with the Amish. There's a Canadian philosopher who's talked some about this, and he's talked about multiculturalism. Now, one of the questions we might ask is, why do we give certain exceptions to the Amish that we give to almost no one else? For example, there was a famous case called Wisconsin versus Yoder, right? And it dealt with Amish parents who did not want to send their children to high school. Right? Not only did they not want to send them to the public schools, they didn't want to establish an Amish school for them. Why? Because education beyond a certain level in the Amish community means practical hands-on activities. Right? It's something like an apprenticeship with your family, on the family farm, business, etc. Now, the state of Wisconsin disagreed and said they had to give their children a high school education. They refused. They did not sue, because Amish don't sue people. But other people took up the lawsuit on their behalf. Now, a lot of people have been very critical of the result. The Supreme Court said that no, Wisconsin could not enforce these rules on the Amish. Right? But a lot of people have said, whoa, it comes too far in the direction of letting people have all kinds of exceptions, too many exceptions, for religious reasons, of almost letting religious people do whatever they want. On the other hand, right, WillKymlicka brought up two observations. Right? And I should say, some people looked at it and said, you know, it almost seems like this court case was designed so it couldn't apply to anybody but the Amish. And WillKymlicka's work suggests two reasons why this might be the case. One is that many of us have the idea that the Amish are not really part of our people. They're not Americans in the same way the rest of us are, and they don't want to be, right? So all of us, right, of various ethnicities, identify with American democracy, the wider American culture, etc. The Amish are very separatist, right? They don't really have a government, right? They don't participate in government, they're pacifists, etc. And they keep to themselves with their own rules. Right? So there's this sense that, well, there should be a carve-out for them because they're not part of our people. And also, as WillKymlicka said, well, there's Amish and other groups that came here with the expectation that they'd be left alone. Right? And we've let them alone for over 100 years. This applies to the Amish, to certain Orthodox Jewish groups, etc. And it's not clear after they come here with this expectation of exceptions, right, and we've allowed it for over 100 years, that we can just turn around and say, you know what, we decided it doesn't fit with our standards of justice. Sorry, all the precedent, all the tradition just goes out the window. Right? And now we can impose any rule we want on the Amish. Well, Kymlicka, who is certainly not a conservative, right, was cautious about that. He said, well, it's not clear that we can do that. Right? There's something to be said for exceptions, carve-outs, etc. Right? And a lot of conservatives would say, this is a case where it's not clear that we want everything to be uniform. We don't have a general principle of you can do whatever your religion tells you. But in certain cases, we accept that we can't just overturn a long-standing exemption because we currently find it unjust.